Hey everyone, Ken Coscia here, the training director and lead instructor for the Silva Method. Today, in this training video, I want to explore with you why is it that sometimes we don't heal, even though we're doing the work, or why is it that we sometimes don't get what we want? We're not manifesting what we intend. There are many, many possible reasons for this, and I'm going to single out for you in today's video lesson four main areas that I think are perhaps the most important to consider as to why that's so. So I'd like you to think for a moment right now with me. If you're not making the effort, if you're not doing the work, well, then there's your answer right there. Often though, since you're watching this video, you're still here with me, you're probably the type, you're making an effort, you're doing the work, you're doing your due diligence, and yet in some areas of your life, you're just not healing. So the first thing you want to ask yourself first is, what do I have to change about me so that I heal? It's important that we stop pointing the finger, that we stop looking for answers out there, and we begin to ask, again, what do I have to change about me in order to heal? The same could be said also about when you're not manifesting what you want, when you're not co-creating your desires, your goals, your aspirations. It's again important to take a look within ourselves. So let's dive into these four areas. And I'm going to, as we go through the four areas, offer you some tips, some suggestions, keeping in mind that usually I spend 4 days with people in this immersion of Silva Life and Intuition System. It's the core foundation program. And then with our advanced students in what I call Silva Mastery, we spend 2 full days. So I'll do my best to give you as much as I can in the time that we have together now. So let's take a look at number one. Number one would be, if we're in survival mode, scarcity consciousness, or desperation mode, and we become obsessive, that we find all the research shows keeps us out of it. Meaning, if we're in scarcity mode, if our body is flooded with stress hormones, if we're in a constant state of hypervigilance, if we think passionate but turns out to be obsessive about what we want, whether it be healing or manifesting your goals, that in itself serves as a major roadblock and obstacle. If you think about it, perhaps you know this already. Because under those conditions, the brain goes into survival mode. The brain takes over, and the number one priority for the brain is survival. Number two, security, to be safe, to be protected. And if we're in desperation mode, we go into the survival mode, and it's protection, all about protection. We become defensive, and we find ourselves being reactive rather than responsive. You see evidence of this on the road today, driving. There's so much road rage. In my opinion, my humble opinion, that's a good classic example of people in desperation mode. When people are desperate, they become self-absorbed. When people are self-absorbed, it's like the world revolves around them. And they don't mean harm. They don't mean to do any, perhaps I like to think that, but they just get so self-absorbed. Have you heard the expression? Desperate people do desperate things. So my friends, it's important to do whatever it takes for you to diffuse the stress, get out of stress mode. Slow, deep breathing. I know everybody says, breathe, breathe. It works. It works. There's a whole science to it. Breathing in very slowly, holding it for a few seconds, and then exhaling out your mouth and exaggerate the exhalation. Practice doing that all throughout the day, especially when you feel challenged. Meditation is another proven effective antidote. I started way back in 1971, and it's so cool for me because over the past 10 years, there have been a flood of university studies, brain scans, fMRIs, studies about what's going on in the brain when we meditate. And the fact is, when you meditate on a daily basis for a minimum of 13 minutes, you'll boost your immune system and you'll release a lot of the stress enzymes. And when that happens, you'll think more clearly. You'll be more likely to have intuitive insights, more likely to recognize opportunities. Because when we're in stress mode, there's less blood, less oxygen to the brain, and that's why we have trouble thinking. You block cognition, you block the higher thinking functions of the brain when in that state. And it's virtually highly unlikely that you're going to have any intuitive insights. So very important to get out of that mode. Be passionate about what you want. Yes, be eager, but have a balance. When it comes to finances, it's so important. And I know a lot of people are struggling, and I feel very blessed and fortunate, and I don't mean to minimize this. However, if you are building a business, if you're in sales, if you're a realtor, if you're a coach, and you're in desperation mode and you really need the business to pay your bills, that doesn't help, does it? It seems to detract, it seems to push people away. So I've often counseled new Silva instructors. Keep your day job. Do whatever it takes. Keep cash flowing. Do your best to stay out of debt. Keep cash flowing so that you can do what you love. And as the saying goes, if you're doing what you love, you never work a day in your life. And when you're doing what you love, you'll tolerate so much more. You'll work so much more. You make much more of an effort, and you'll thrive. And that's the goal, isn't it? To thrive. So this desperation mode, this obsessive mode, survival, which causes us to go into scarcity consciousness, is vitally important. Another tip might be exercising, going for a walk, drinking lots of water, and especially make sure you are getting enough sleep. I mean, we could spend so much time, and we have limited time in the video. I don't want to make it too long. However, sleeping is a priority. All the research shows, I've been following this since I started back in 71, that's over 50 years, and if you're not getting a minimum of 7.5 to 9 hours of sleep each and every night, we run the risk of having a sleep deficit, and when that happens, other problems in our health, our well-being begin to show up. Yeah, I know there's a lot of people, I know some high performers, they're lucky if they get 5 hours, 6 hours a night. But I tell you, they're tight, they're taut, they're reactive, they yell at their staff, they're impatient, they have trouble because they're not sleeping enough. And then it makes it worse, they have trouble sleeping. So you got to really look at it. I mean, great, strive to scale up your business, strive to be a high performer. Is it worth it, though, if you're not getting enough sleep? Because as time goes by, as the years go by, it could lead to serious health problems. And then you're paying an even bigger price. I don't mean to sound like your mother. I cannot overemphasize. If you're not getting enough sleep, you're bound to get into survival mode, scarcity mode. Because if you're not getting enough sleep, the brain will take over and it'll release and it becomes toxic. So please, do what you can. Second is when your wants, when your desires, when your intention is not or your goals are not in alignment with your values. So if you work for someone, if you're in a business and you're being asked to do things that you know are wrong, that are not consistent with your values, and you feel like you're out of integrity, that's a big impediment toward high performance, toward being at your best, to having your A game come through and your best self to emerge. And it's also a big reason why people either are dogging it, not getting what they want, not even trying, and they just give up prematurely. So it's important that our goals, and if you're meditating regularly, you don't even have to call it meditation. Here's a simple little exercise. Find a comfortable position, comfortable place, best to sit. Feet flat on the floor, hands in your lap. Your eyelids are closed, and allow 3 very slow, deep breaths. Then feel some gratitude for anyone, anything for about 30 seconds, maybe up to a minute. Then mentally rehearse, visualize, imagine some of your goals, your aspirations as if it's happened already. Simple little exercise. And aim for doing that at least once a day, 13 minutes. Twice is even better. 3 times is excellent. And when you do that, I'd love to hear from you. Comment here. Notice you get more done in less time. You feel better. You have more energy. You're sleeping better, better quality of sleep. And your business starts growing. And your relationships start improving because you're responsive, listening to people, fully present with them. It's almost impossible to be fully present with anyone, let alone your loved ones, when we are in scarcity mode, when the stress hormones are raging through our system. So you see how the two are aligned with each other, how they contribute to each other. You want to make sure that your values are in alignment with your goals. Third reason why we sometimes don't heal, even though we're doing the work, or not getting what you really, really want, is that we're not integrating the knowledge we have and not implementing, taking the time. So, for example, we live in an age of time. I know I'm old school, as people say, and I think it's really cool to be old school. Because one thing we know is it's not what you know, it's not how much you know that will make the difference for you in your life. It's what you do with what you know. And in order to implement, in order to apply what you know, it's got to be integrated, not intellectually. And what's happening is some marketing houses focus on, shall I say, causing us to become or influencing us to become consumers of knowledge. There's a difference. A consumer of knowledge is someone who reads all the right books, goes to all the seminars, buys all this. Marketing houses that focus on this will give you an incredible amount of bonuses that you don't even have the time to listen to watch, to study. And many of the bonuses are upsells to other authors, to other programs and courses. All I'm saying is I think it's great to have knowledge, and I think it's wonderful. If you're a student and you're serious and you're actually exploring, take time though. Slow down a bit and take the time to integrate what you know. Make it a part of you. So it's important that you are firing and wiring your brain to create new neural patterns of the knowledge. And that takes time. It's not a quick fix, and it takes repetition. So it takes an immersion of the knowledge, then you got to repeat it and repeat it and review it and study it. And then it's important to implement it, use it, apply it in your life. And that's where the magic happens, so to speak. And that's what leads ultimately to mastery. So my friends, what I'm saying to you is, and by the way, I'm in the business of selling courses, but for over 50 years, I have studied so much. I've looked at so many modalities. I'm not going to mention names out of respect. And they're cool, and I think you'll always learn something. But I find myself always coming back to the Silva Method because it's so practical. And it's what I choose to master. It's what I choose to integrate and make a part of my life. So when I work with my clients and mentor them, it's around the Silva skills. I'll only work with Silva Method practitioners because it saves us a lot of time and it saves them a lot of money because we want to implement, work with it. That's what my mastery program is all about. It's only for Silva Method graduates of the basic lecture series, the older format, or the newer, more updated format of Silva Life and Intuition System, because they're practitioners, they're serious students, they know what to do already, they know that it works, and the question is, how can I make it work better? That's what integration is all about. When you take a look at what you know and you say, okay, now how can I really, really deepen my understanding of this, and so that I can apply it more effectively, and you expand on that. Again, it's not a quick fix, it takes time. So not integrating what you know and running, looking for the next shiny object, which I think some marketing houses are guilty of. And it becomes about the money. And all they talk about is money and 500 million, and how I did this in 30 days, and I don't even want to go there. Again, some of it's really great, some of it's authentic. Check it out. Be there. Fourth and last, I don't want to sound like I'm on a soapbox here, but I couldn't say enough about that. I've made that my whole career. I've worked with hundreds of thousands of people in person events. Now I'm doing virtual also. I have spent my whole career working with Silva Method graduates, practitioners, up front, close, and understanding what works, what doesn't work. I've become masterful at that. It doesn't mean I'm perfect in my own life. I'm far from it. But it does mean I have a high skill level and I know what works, what doesn't. And that's what I tell people when they honor me with their presence and a training with me. I tell them, I know what works, what doesn't. So all I ask is open your mind, open your heart, follow the directions, and you will be thrilled. Fourth and last reason, again, there may be more, I'm sure, and I know there are more, but this is what I wanted to single out because I think they're most important. Fourth reason why we sometimes don't heal or not getting what we want is lack of a clear future identity, lack of clear vision of your future self, your best self. That doesn't mean you need to have all the steps how you're going to get there. Of course, you need to have steps. You do need to have a plan. You do need to have strategies. You do need to study. It's important. Ask for help. It's important to study. It's important to watch videos, whatever it is you do, or read. That helps you to clarify what it is you really want. But not having. See, there's a saying that I've noticed is when we own it emotionally, then we're more likely to get it. And what happens is when people are working on a goal, an aspiration, and they set, big intentions, if it's not consistent with their competency levels, if it's not consistent with how they feel about themselves, their belief of being able to figure things out, that becomes a detriment. That becomes an obstacle, a roadblock in not getting what they want. And another biggie with that is you heard some people suggest, embrace the struggle. Well, a lot of what that means is when you think of here's your current life right now, here, do a little exercise. Here's your current reality, what you've been experiencing up till now. Notice the languaging. Up to now implies you're not stuck. You can grow. You can have a growth mindset and be improving, self-improving, personal development, however we look at it. However, whether we think about it consciously or not, in these inner conscious levels, in this so-called subconscious state that's associated, we find, with alpha and theta brainwaves, that sleeping state that's so common, but our goal in meditation is to attune to this state and stay awake consciously, to stay awake and alert so that we can imagine, visualize, mentally rehearse where we want to be. So when you're working on a goal and you have a belief that somehow, some way I can figure this out, that helps. However, in order to get from where you are now to where you want to be, something has to what? Change. And we live in a time that's highly uncertain, very volatile, the markets, everything. And when we're in high levels of uncertainty, that adds to what? Stress levels. That contributes to the survival scarcity mode. Even if it's something wonderful we aspire to, like when you go to a personal development program, it's very common. People tell me, for example, when they go to a personal development program or they come to the Silva training, the immersion of life and intuition system, that as much as they really want to be there, there's also some apprehension. There's also some maybe butterflies in the stomach. Not because they don't want to be there, but because inner consciously we know something's got to change. If I'm truly going to heal, the question is, what do I have to change about me? Ask that question. And that's not always a comfortable question to ask, or at least the response isn't, because you may think you like to change, but inner consciously we don't like to change. Because when we change, when something is new and different and we don't know and it's not predictable, it's unfamiliar, new territory. And when there's new territory, we go into temporary protection mode. survival and security mode. And that, again, holds us back. So the exercise is this. Another tip for you here is when in that quiet, relaxed state, remember you're going to get a place where you can be quiet. No one's going to disturb you. You're going to close your eyelids. Best to sit up. Allow 3 very slow, deep breaths. I'm simplifying it for you because, I spent 4 days with people teaching this, but this will work. It's a good beginning. Then feel for about 30 seconds or minutes some genuine gratitude for anyone or anything in your life you're happiest in your life. Then play with your future identity. Imagine your best self emerging in all you do tomorrow, next week, next month. And what would that mean? And do it in 2 ways, as if it's happened already and with high elevated emotions of gratitude, of appreciation. You could, whatever your spiritual persuasion is, you could say, thank you, God, thank you, Mom, thank you, universe, thank you, source. But feel that. We know through all the research that helps. The surest way to have more and to improve is to appreciate what you do have. Do this exercise for minimum 13 minutes a day. I'd love to hear from you. And if you want to hear more and you want to be up to date with videos as they're released by me, just subscribe. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I appreciate that. I look forward one day to meeting you in a Silva training. That'd be great. And let's just wrap up real quick. Why we don't heal, why we're not growing, why we're not getting what we want. Because we're in temporary conditions, survival mode, scarcity mode, desperation mode, or our goals are not in alignment with our values. We're spending too much time studying all new stuff, looking for the next new shiny object, and not taking the time that's necessary to integrate and implement through repetition, through review, through implementing it. And then also lack of a clear future identity. Not taking the time to spell that out, to work on your life vision. People ask me, Ken, 51 years, I'm the lead instructor. I'm the guy Jose Silva selected back in 1984 to take graduate advanced programs around the world. I've been all around the world doing this, and also to work on training and developing our new instructors. It was such a godsend. It was such an opportunity that he and Harry McKnight saw in me things I didn't see in myself. But what I can tell you is what's kept me going through the tough times, through downturns, through recessions. I don't even remember how many recessions I've lived through, at least 3 or 4 major ones. And life is what it is, challenges. But having a clear vision, a sense of mission. Look at the biographies of famous people. That will help you. Because those biographies teach us they usually have what? A deep sense of mission about their work, something they want to bring to the world. It's part of their life vision. And that's what sustains us and gets us through the tough times as well as the good times. So my friends, I trust and hope that you're getting good value from this. You may want to review this, savor it, think about it, and actually start applying it. Until the next time.